deportation to Syria or Algeria after an immigration judge ruled he misrepresented info on his green card. Khalil, a key voice in 2024 Gaza protests, plans to appeal. And My Melanin, the first black-owned stationery brand in Sam's Club, Lowe's, and Hallmark, is facing knockoffs after going viral on TikTok. Founder Ardeen Miller Marbley says overseas companies are copying her designs and misleading buyers with counterfeits. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Join New Schools for New Orleans, All-State Sugar Bowl, and Entergy New Orleans in recognizing and celebrating the Teachers of the Year at our 4th annual New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Awards Gala. The gala will take place Saturday, November 1st at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. This year's gala will feature New Orleans legend DJ Jubilee. Don't miss out on this intimate celebration supporting our New Orleans public school teachers. Tickets can be purchased on our website, newschoolsforneworleans.org.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
With me is Chief Compass and Chief Eddie. Why are you here?
I'm here to hear you.
All right, we want to hear from you. Yes, you're hearing our voices, but we would like to hear your voices. There's all kinds of stuff going on, and we want to know what you're thinking, what's on your heart, what's on your chest. Want to get something off your chest, or you want to ask a question, or you want to share some information? Give us a ring at the WBOK 1230 AM talk line, 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. And if you don't have that down yet, one more time, 504-582-9422. So we've got quite a show ahead for you. We've got all kinds of things planned. First, want to tell you that we've got a election coming up. And it is October 11th is the election day. But early voting starts on September 27th and ends on October 4th. But to be able to participate in early voting or in on election day, you have to be registered to vote. For those of you who are not registered, you missed the deadline for registering in person. You can still register to vote online as long as you get it done by September 20th. So that gives you an option for getting registered to vote and to cast your vote in the fall election. There are some very important races for mayor. Someone will succeed Mayor Latoya Cantrell in January, but who that person will be determined in October. And if there is a runoff, it will be determined in November. So you want to be a part of that number. And one of the things I want to remind you about as you think about casting your vote, one of the things that happens from an October open election to a November runoff is there's a significant fall off in the number of votes. So you want to be one of the folks who help determine who our leaders are in October, and wherever there is a runoff in whichever race, you want to plan the vote November 15th. You want to plan the vote in November as well. But you can't do any of that if you don't register and vote. So there's still time to get yourself registered online between now and September 20th, but that's not long, just a few days. And the October 11th election date is less than a month away, and early voting starts very soon, as in next week. Next week, Chief Eddie. So people are going to have to start getting down, getting ready, and get their plan out. And as we've talked before, you don't know what might happen. So you want to take your opportunity, be registered to vote, get others to vote, and make a plan to vote. Early voting starts next week.
You know, when you talk about voting, I always, we reiterate this every day because it's the most precious thing we have in our democracy, the right to vote. And when you think about people who have given their lives, made the ultimate sacrifice, given their lives to be able to vote. We'd be remiss in our responsibility as a generation who has benefited from those type of sacrifices not to exercise our right to vote. Because you can stand on the sidelines and scream at the darkness, but by voting, you're lighting that candle to illuminate. And you can't complain about things that's transpiring that's not to your liking if you have not participated in the process of putting people in place who have the same ideologies and have the same core values as you. And that's why it's so important to get out to these forums and get out to these debates and understand just who you're voting for and what they stand for, and what have they done in the past to give you an idea that they will be the type of person when they put in a position of power that you think will represent you and represent your interests and represent the interests of the community. So when you look at voting, we don't take that lightly here at WBOK. That's something that we are very, very serious about, and we spend a lot of time on it, and we do our best to educate the public. We give you our opinions, and then we ask for your opinions, because that's why I say we're here to hear you. That's not just a catchphrase. We are here to hear you, and we definitely listen. So I just want to let you all know that, voting is something that is your right, but it's also your obligation.
Right. And, there's an important date that I didn't mention today. I want to make sure that you know about that date, and that is October 7th. Anybody know what that date is? Anybody know why I am bringing up that date? Anybody know why I'm bringing up October 7th? So let's see who out there knows why I'm bringing up October 7th. 504-582-9422. Try to do it without Google. All right? Try to do it without Google. 504-582-9422. There's an important election date that we often forget, and that is this year, that date is October 7th. October 7th. It's a pretty important date, but so many of us, first of all, not everybody needs to know about that date. But some of us do need to know about that date because this is something that applies to some people and not all people. But it's an important date. October 7th. So I already told you the election day is October 11th. And if there's a runoff needed in any race, that's November 15th. Already told you that early voting starts on September 27th, and ends on October 4th. We have missed the deadline for in-person registration at September 10th, but there's another date, and it's a pretty important date, October 7th. So we got a caller. Let's see who it is. We got Reverend Wallace on the phone. Good morning, Reverend Wallace.
Good morning, my brother, Mr. Brother Compass, and to the radio listening audience. I'm just one that voice in the wilderness is speaking. I'm like you, brother. Every vote counts. Dr. King said, voteless people is a powerless people. And you know, it really bewilds my imagination and understanding of our black leadership. I would have considered if Congressman Troy Carter would have just held up to the second primary and said, well, look, I have rapport with all three of these people, and certainly Oliver have been in the fixture of the community for a long time, out of respect and regards for that. I would have said, well, you know, and Duplessis is just another young man. And Miss Moreno, I'm not saying anything bad about her, but I would have waited till November to see if there's going to be a runoff. I'll just jump off the scene. But I want to let people know that your vote is not sealed, it's not persuaded by any politician, black or white. Don't be persuaded, as they say, behind the hype, because of all of those people that line up. You know, Lloyd Jean Dad said, if you stand for something, it's not what people say, but it's what you stand for. And Oliver stood for something. Royston stood for something in the community. He stood up against the governor on a lot of things, him and Cam Hendry. I'm just surprised that WL and all his affiliates was just sanctioning all these other people not to be at the forum. And none of the people said anything about it. That, you know, these people have a respect in the neighborhood of people that they talk to, and they feel that they had something to say, and they had a chance. It's a process, a democratic process, and they should have been on the platform. I wish we'd have had all of them on there. I mean, you know, that's what America is about, opportunity, exposure. Give these people some exposure. It may not ever mount up to being mere, but at least you're giving them a chance in this democracy. But the sanction just to say just 3 people out of 12, and you're gonna make the 3 top tiers, and then you got one that's getting money from everywhere except China right now. And Mr. Villeray said some stuff about black leadership. I hope all of them read that they said that black folks have been well, he said New Orleans was a shithole. Black leadership was a shithole.
All right, Reverend Wallace, we can't go there with that type of language. So I think you are on track with making some excellent points. Certainly understand your point about our congressman, and you made excellent points about the need to vote, to pay attention, and all. But we can't have that kind of language on WBOK. And so for all who might want to be calling in, that's something that we can't do. So, but we still would love to hear from you. 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. Do you know why October 7th is important? Do you know? I'm going to just lay it out there one more time for just a few more seconds, up to a minute. We've got important dates of September 27th for early voting starting, and October 11th is Election Day. Early voting ends on October 4th. But there's another date, and that is October 7th. All right. So here we go. October 7th is the deadline for submitting your absentee or mail ballot. So that means if you are eligible to receive a mail ballot, your deadline for making the request is October 7th. Your deadline for submitting that mail ballot is October 10th. And here's what that means. If you request your mail ballot from the registrar and you're eligible and you're approved and they send you your mail ballot, you can vote in the privacy of your home, your bedroom, your kitchen table, your man cave if you got one, your living room. When you're visiting Granny, you can cast your ballot at home and send it in. It also means you can request that mail ballot now. So you don't have to wait until September 27th. So you could actually cast that ballot now if you would choose to do that. And a lot of people are eligible for mail ballots. That includes senior citizens who are 65 years or older.
That would
65.
be me. That would be me.
That's young. That's young. That's young. So you're a senior citizen in terms of voting at 65. So you don't have to be 85 and in bed. So you can go about your business and take care of this obligation pretty easily. You also can request an absentee ballot if you're going to be temporarily outside of the state or outside of your parish. So maybe you're going to be visiting relatives in southwest Louisiana or central Louisiana, northern Louisiana. So you won't be here for the early voting period. You can let them know that you're going to be temporarily away and that you want a absentee ballot, a mail ballot for that reason. And that doesn't apply to people who are 65 or older. So you can be eligible to vote and make that request. If you work offshore, and you know how those schedules go.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so when you're on, you're on. When you're offshore, you're off. And you don't come home for a bunch of days.
21 in a row.
Yep. And so if you're going to be offshore and you know that, then you can make that request. If you have a student who's in college away, but their registration is here, and that applies to a student, an instructor, or a professor living outside of the parish of registration, or the spouse or dependent of that person, you can apply and get a mail ballot. Clergy also can apply. Ministers, priests, rabbis, other types of clergy, depending on the faith, you can apply once accepted by the registrar of voters. You can vote by mail. That includes a bunch of people. If you have moved out of the parish, you moving on to another chapter of your life, but you still have your registration here, you can apply for a mail ballot. If you are involuntarily confined for whatever reason, that can be a mental treatment, that can be somebody who's not interdicted or not judicially declared incompetent, but you have your faculties enough to be able to vote, you can request a mail ballot. If you're in the hospital and know you're going to be in the hospital and for an extended stay, you can apply for a mail ballot. If you are incarcerated and you expect to be incarcerated inside or outside of your parish. So let's say you're from Orleans, but you're, for whatever reason, you're up in Ouachita Parish.
Right.
Or you're in Lincoln Parish.
Right.
Or you in St. Charles. And you know, for whatever reason, and you believe you're innocent, but that's where you are and that's likely where you're going to be, you can apply for a mail ballot.
Wow.
And certainly if you are a juror, that you're going to be tied up with that jury obligation, you can take care of your voting obligation with a mail ballot. So I wanted to take time today to bring to your attention the types of people who registered voters, you can apply for a mail ballot and you can cast your ballot as long as you request it. It has to be approved and you have to return it by September 10th. So I hope you'll share that information with a number of others. Just another piece of information you're getting from here from WBOK 1230 AM. We're going to have to take a break because we got a very important person coming up next. Later in the show, we're going to hear from former Mayor Sidney Bartholomew.
Oh, yes.
And that's going to be a great conversation.
My guy.
Yep. So we're going to be talking politics with Mayor Bartholomew. We also have Mayor Lewis Ross Brown, who is an environmental toxicologist and a CEO and founder of the National Environmental Action Network. And he's going to be talking about all things environment. And right after the break, we're going to have the one, the only, our Congressman Troy Carter on the line. Right now, we're going to go to break, and we'll be back after that. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Thursday morning, I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. A crash on Canal Street leaves a woman dead. New Orleans police say it happened yesterday afternoon near the aquarium. Officers say she was a passenger in a cab that tried to turn, then hit a curb and drove into a wall. She was taken to a hospital where she died. No arrests have been made, but the crash is still under investigation. The trial for Mayor LaToya Cantrell will not happen this year. Sources say it's now scheduled for late 2026. This comes after a hearing was held yesterday by teleconference. Mayor Cantrell is accused of misusing taxpayer money on luxury trips with her former NOPD bodyguard Jeffrey Vappy and then lying to cover it up. Both have pleaded not guilty, and sources now say they will stand trial together on October 19th of next year. The city of New Orleans missed the first part of a bid process to host the Super Bowl in 2031, and sources say it's all because of the status of the Superdome lease. The state of Louisiana owns and operates the dome with the Saints as the building's primary tenant, but because a long-term lease between the two isn't finalized, a bid to host a future Super Bowl could not be submitted yesterday during the NFL's fall meetings in New York City. The current lease agreement ends in 2030. Now, if a deal is agreed upon soon, New Orleans could reemerge as a potential host city in 2031. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Collab Capital is an early-stage venture capital fund designed to help close the funding gap for black entrepreneurs. And it recently closed its latest funding round with $75 million in committed capital. Jules Burke-Solomon is co-founder and managing partner of Collab Capital, and she says a big part of the VC firm's early success comes down to the work she's put into meeting people.
We spend a lot of time on the road, meeting with limited partners, getting them excited about our vision for shared prosperity, and really telling a different story about how we're finding incredible entrepreneurs who are building a different type of future. And so I think that's what got our limited partners excited.
Beyond funding, Collab Capital also offers operational support and tries to help founders build a network of partnerships. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner. I'm the Black Business Beat.
It's Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. Get up to 35% off select major appliances and save an additional $1,000 when you buy 4 select LG major appliances. Plus, get a free DeWalt 20-volt max 5 amp-hour battery when you buy a select DeWalt 20-volt max tool. Get the job done for less at Lowe's. We help, you save. Valid through 9/26. Selection varies by location while supplies last. See associate or Lowe's.com for more details and qualifying items.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Turn your book idea into publishing gold.
800-215-6818. 800-215-6818. That's 800-215-6818.
Late nights are made for chillin', and you can do just that every Sunday night at 10 p.m. as DJ Wick brings you The Love Zone. It's the perfect way to top off your weekend with your favorite old and new school ballads. So sit back, relax, and let DJ Wick take you to the Love Zone. on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
Hear that? For too long, fixing our streets and drainage has only meant inconvenience and empty promises. This is Matthew Willard. I'm running for Council at Large, Division 1, to really fix our city so we spend less time dodging potholes and street flooding and more time cheering on the Saints. As a state legislator, I've proven I can deliver. At City Hall, I'll build on that record. Paid for by the Matthew Willard campaign.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show on WBOK 1230 AM. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. And as Chief has told you, we're here to hear you. So give us a ring. You're hearing our voices, but we would like to hear yours. I listened to that news report provided by my friend Daryl Forges over at WDSU. And one of the pieces of news that he shared, I want to follow up on. The NFL and the New Orleans Saints say New Orleans missed the key deadline in a bid to host the Super Bowl in 2031.
Wow.
Now, let's give some context. We have hosted the Super Bowl several times. Successfully, several times. Even with glitches, the NFL has returned to New Orleans several times. They like coming to New Orleans. The NFL basically demands that if they're going to be coming to your city, that you will have a new stadium in San Francisco, in Atlanta, in other places where they're going, and or Las Vegas, and they got all the new and shiny stuff, and they're new stadiums. Our Superdome is 50 years old, and yet they come. Now, it's been renovated several times, and the most recent renovations are wonderful. I mean, it's wonderful. I mean, it certainly changed some spaces for like the lounge part of Essence Fest and all, but it's updated, and so many people want to come to New Orleans for the Super Bowl. But the committee that was meeting in New York this week is the Fan Engagement and Major Events Advisory Committee. They're an advisory committee, but like most large organizations, these things go through a process. You don't have one owner or 50% of the owners saying, we want to do this and we want to go there. There's a process that you go through. And this particular committee has deadlines. And so that committee was meeting in New York, and the cities that wanted to make a pitch for 2031 were able to make that pitch because they had their ducks lined up. Well, the owners of the 32 teams were gathered in New York for this fall meetings, which they do every year. But this committee considers proposals for future events years out. And the future events include the Super Bowl and the NFL draft. So you don't just walk into that the year or two before. So you have to get on the list, and they consider who should be on the list after the request, and they present that to the owners. There's some other steps, but that's kind of a short circuit. So the Saints plan to submit a bid for 2031 this year. But according to the team, they were unable to do so because a lease extension with the state of Louisiana, and we the people, the state of Louisiana, we own the stadium, has not yet been finalized beyond 2030. So if the Super Bowl is in 2031, the NFL is not going to make a deal to host the Super Bowl in a city where there's no lease in place and, frankly, no certainty that there'll be a team in that city. So there's some stuff to do, and certainly there are ongoing negotiations, and I suspect that part of this is bargaining and all to get the best deal possible for the state and for the New Orleans Saints, and each of them want more and better. So this is not on the city of New Orleans, but hell of a thing. We want another Super Bowl, don't we, Chief?
Oh, very much so. When you look at the economic impact that a Super Bowl brings to a city, not to mention the publicity. I mean, you're shined on the world stage. I mean, it's a shining example of what a city like New Orleans is. It has an economic impact immediately, but the residual effects from having a Super Bowl here is, you really can't quantify it sometimes because it's so great. And, being part of the Super Bowl for a long time, being in a position I was in as a chief of police and even as a police officer. I remember, like I said, I was the chief of police. Well, I was the operations chief right after 9/11 when the Super Bowl was here. This was the major event. And when what goes into a Super Bowl, and it was like magnified times 10 because of 9/11. And the NFL was very happy that the Super Bowl was here after 9/11 because we're like the most unique city in the world as it relates to giving a Super Bowl because of our close proximity to hotels and restaurants. Well, a lot of it is in walking distance. When they have these Super Bowls in these other places, they're like 20, 30 miles away sometimes. That to shuttle people in.
Well, the San Francisco Super Bowl will be about 45 to 50 minutes away.
Right, and that's from a
you're not going to walk that.
No, from a logistics standpoint, it's a logistical nightmare. It's a security nightmare to put that type of security protocol in place. But in New Orleans, I mean, everything is perfect. Like we're set up for Super Bowls.
Well, yeah, and it's not just the game because when the Super Bowl comes, they're here for a whole week or more, and the actual games are probably more than 115,000 people, and we had 100,000 plus out-of-state visitors. The economic impact was $1.25 billion for the state of Louisiana.
Exactly.
So, when we look at these things, people think New Orleans, but New Orleans doesn't get all that money. And it supported more than 9,000 local jobs. And there were $658 million in visitor and vendor spending and $395 million in wages. That's a lot of money. And some people made really good money when the Super Bowl was here. So, yes, we want another one, and we hope they get their act together so we can get that Super Bowl or at least be competitive for 2031. Good news. We got the congressman online.
All right.
We've got the congressman on the line. Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, my dear friends. How are you today?
Fabulous,
we're great.
Fabulous. How are you?
Fantastic. Sorry that I'm a little late. As you know, we have a lot of balls to juggle around the nation's capital. So just trying to navigate through some of that to get to you guys. Happy to be with you, albeit a little bit late.
All right. Well, we're happy to have you on time for talking with our WBOK audience. And we've got a number of things that, there's so much. We could talk for an hour about all of this stuff that's been going on, including the crap. But we definitely want to talk with you about the TWICE Act. And let's talk about RFK in a bit. But let's start with the TWICE Act. What is the TWICE Act?
Well, the TWICE Act is, as it might imply, twice, second chance, giving people an opportunity to matriculate back into the workforce. We know that in our maritime system, in transportation, they're good paying jobs, and the jobs that we have a strong stand in our community. However, we continue to have workforce shortages. So when you marry the workforce shortage to an industry that is booming in our community, and we marry that into second chances and the ending of recidivism, it makes for a perfect combination of what the TWICE Act does. What the TWICE Act does is for people working in the maritime or transportation industry, they're required to have what's called a TWIC card. The TWIC card is a certification that allows them to work in this particular industry. Well, people that are on their way to be released, people who are ending their process of incarceration, that have paid their debt to society, who are now working through the process, and they're entering back into the workforce, they can apply for their TWIC license before they're actually released from prison. Why is that a big deal? Because oftentimes people, when they're released from jail, they have a very small window to be able to matriculate back into the workforce before being tempted back into a life of crime. In New Orleans, you may have heard of and of a great organization called the First 72.
Absolutely.
The First 72 is a program that within that first 72 hours, it gives people an opportunity to find a job, find a home, find a resource, to find comfort, to find some counseling, so they don't return to a life of crime. Well, the magic of the First 72 is there's something very specific about those first 72 hours when a person is released. How about the fact that now when they're released, they're released with a vital tool to get a job, and that is a TWIC card that they are already certified and can go right to work. Well, a person going right to work is less likely to go back into a life of crime. It's a win-win. I'm proud to say that this is a bipartisan bill that's being done together to demonstrate that the ability to give people a second chance to restart their lives and to end the cycle of recidivism is a home run. I'm very, very proud of this bill, very proud of working to push it through the system, and hope to get it to law that will give people an opportunity to, again, solve multiple issues. One, to get our recently incarcerated a head start on getting back into a life of honest living, of restoration, while fulfilling a need of a job shortage we have in our maritime and transportation industries.
Congressman, this Chief Combs, how you doing, sir?
How are you, my favorite chief?
All right. Well, one of the things.
Chief Emeritus.
Thank you, sir. One of the things that is so important, because it's like not trying to reinvent the wheel. Because I remember when you were a councilman, and we had the community policing program, and I came to your office and I told you about our vision to deal with basically being more proactive with people that had been incarcerated. And you helped us with the mentorship programs. You helped us with the job task force, where we put these individuals back to work. And basically, like I said, we look at our whole criminal justice system predicated upon Sutherland's theory on differential reinforcers, which is prison, and giving punishment, which basically recidivism being at all-time high, doesn't work. But you look at the other part of that, differential associations, basically associating them and putting them to assimilate in something positive, as one of the programs that you were instrumental in helping us basically implement. And we had a 26% reduction in overall crime and a 73% reduction in murder. So this would be very analogous to that. So I want to let you know that what you're talking about has worked in the past, and I'm glad you're doing it in the maritime industry, because that is another untapped resource that we have not tapped into. So that's and
thanks, Chief. It was under your leadership that we're able to do these things, and also the beauty of, you may have obviously we've talked about this before. the president's intent to consider bringing 1,000 troops to Louisiana, more specifically to New Orleans. Listen, I wanted to be clear, and I've said on MSNBC, on CNN, and all local outlets, we're not saying we don't want help. So let's not anybody think that we're celebrating so much so that we think we've beaten this crime thing. Yeah, we've got tremendous reductions in our crime rate, and that's fantastic. But we won't settle until we have zero crime rate. So yeah, we'll take help from the administration, but we're not gonna take people walking around with M16 rifles. We're not going to have the militarization of our streets with people who are trained to kill. The National Guard and military, they're not trained to be police officers. They're not trained in our municipal laws. They're not trained in the area of de-escalation. Listen, they're wonderful individuals. They do a great job during and after a storm. They do a great job at marshaling the crowds during Sugar Bowl and Super Bowl and Mardi Gras. But we need police officers who are trained on the street, trained in the area of de-escalation, trained in the area of conflict resolution. What the president can do if he wants to help is he can send money like they did with the COPS program, what they did with community policing. He can send money so we have boots on the ground, building a better relationship with communities, not having the police officer and police department viewed as the enemy, but viewed as helpers. So we'll embrace your offer of help, but let's do it in a vein that's sincere and honest and not one that is nothing more than political brinksmanship.
So what has changed from the situation out in L.A. with the president sending in the National Guard, the situation in Washington, D.C. with the president sending in the National Guard, and then just recently Memphis sending in the National Guard with his respect or disrespect for state officials or local officials? Do you see any difference with how things are being handled as Louisiana is being discussed?
Well, one clear distinction is that every city that's been targeted are cities that are led by either African American or Democratic mayors. And one glaring example that should jump out to anyone who fails to see this attack on Democratic leaders is if you talk about Louisiana, you look at New Orleans, it has a significantly lower crime rates than we've had in decades. And you pass over Shreveport and Monroe and Baton Rouge, all of which were headed by Republican mayors, but then you choose to come to New Orleans that has a lower crime rate of all three of those cities. Then you beg to ask the question, what is this really about? Is this about crime abatement? Is this about really wanting to assist with crime, or is this about some political gains? And again, I'll pivot again. Mr. President, if you want to help us, there are ways that we'll suggest that you can help us. Help us be able to build stronger cases with our district attorney's office so we're convicting the right person using the best practices, extensive crime labs, and tools and talents to allow us to make good arrests and good convictions and not arrest people because of the way they look or because of demographics or where they come from. Those are ways that we can really arrest crime and make sure that we are pushing back against the true criminal element and not making political hay on the backs of innocent people. You know, there's a lot of ways that we can do this, and we'll embrace it. What we will not embrace is you coming into democratic cities, adding insult to injury by having people walk around with M16s, agitating situations that may not, in fact, be problems.
All right, we got a call from Vincent. Let's take the call from Vincent. Good morning, Vincent. How are you?
Hey, good morning, everyone.
You're on with Congressman Troy Carter.
Good morning, Mr. Congressman Troy Carter. How you doing?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm great. And I wanted to ask you a question based on like the status that you are in politics compared to maybe like city council. Do you see a trend where you have a disconnect with say, for instance, like the black constituency, how this is just a theory I have, that we all have family members and friends who may have been involved in a life of criminality. And on the other side, it seems like they may not have had that link with a family member or friend, and there's no compassion or like tolerance for crime, and not that we tolerate it, but we just have more compassion because we may have had a loved one or somebody who may have been involved, and just our compassion level for people who have gone through negative things in their lives is much more tolerable than the other side. And I mean, is that something that you see through smaller political offices to higher end where you are? Is that still the same divide? Well, we talk about divisiveness like in this local election right now. That's been a hot topic. I mean, is there a correlation that?
Yeah, I think that we have to always recognize that crime and those who find themselves caught up in crime, sometimes it's because of the system in which that they grew up in. But then oftentimes the people grew up in very challenged areas that grew up to not be a part of crime, from the very big to the very small. We all have it. And sometimes you got a family that has a history of people that have been involved in criminal activity, and you have a family that has never had any, and then all of a sudden there's one. Rather it's one or it's many, we all have an obligation to help fix it, to be sympathetic to the victims of crime, and to also be willing to work in a system that gives people an opportunity to not have a life of crime. All but the grace of God, it could be any of us, right? So we should not ignore or turn our back on the systems that have caused people to turn to a life of crime, and create prevention so they never get involved in crime, and then B, opportunities for them to be rehabilitated once they've paid their price to society. And rather it is local, state, or federal government, all of us who are blessed enough to be in positions of leadership have a responsibility to dig deep into helping, not judging, not looking down on, but helping the victims of crime overcome, helping the villains of crime pay their debt to society and become better people.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Vincent. We've got another call, Congressman. This one's from Sean. Sean, good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, fellas.
What's on with Congressman Carter?
All right, Congressman Carter, how you doing?
Hey, brother, how are you?
All right. Hey, man, look, just on the up and up, I like you as a congressman. I think you're doing an awesome job. Just from a New Orleans perspective, man, I see you put your feet in the mayorship race. And I just wanted to say, man, I think the people of New Orleans, need to hear, why is it, that, not why you endorse who you endorse, but, I just want to know, like, what was it that stood out to you that Heleno would be this better representation for New Orleans rather than one of the other candidates that was in the race? You know what I'm saying? Just let the city of New Orleans know that, hey, we have other great candidates. You just decided to go this other way. I think we deserve that.
I think that's a very fair question, brother. Very fair question. I'm happy to answer it. Within any contest, there's only one person that can be first. There's only one person that when you got three people who are capable individuals to serve in a capacity as a respectful and responsible leader, you got to choose one. Listen, I think Royce is an outstanding leader. I think Oliver is an outstanding leader. I think I count them both as friends. I've served with them both. My choice came down to Helena based on a number of different issues. We worked closely together in Washington. Helena came to Washington to help lobby for resources after Ida, to work with the Congress, to work together on various issues that are important to the people, and that's where my choice came down to. My choice was not taken lightly. My choice was not anti-Royce or anti-Oliver Thomas. They both are friends of mine, and both have demonstrated to be very capable leaders. But in this bout, I chose Helena Moreno for the reasons that I mentioned. The ability to work closely together on the local and national and state. Having served in the House and City Council myself, understanding the value of being a state legislator and a city council member brings a certain value to the mayor's office that she uniquely has. Again, this is going to be a tough race, but decisions have to be made and leaders have to make tough decisions. And that was the basis of what I can share with you, my friend.
Okay. Thank you for your call, Sean. Appreciate it. You have a great day. We've got another call on the line, Congressman. This one's from Cedric. Good morning, Cedric. You're on with Congressman Carter.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Brother Cedric, how you doing, man?
I don't know. I'm concerned. You know, a lot of people voted for you because you're educated, you're smart, you did the work, and also because you're black. This is a majority black city. For the life of me, as a black man, I can't see how we have so many black people going against qualified black people in this political climate. You as the congressman, you bring to us every week some of the atrocities that you have to deal with as a congressperson. And I just hope that, like Dr. King understood, I hope that you and other people are not integrating your people into a burning house. And I'll hang up and listen.
Well, brother, I appreciate your saying that you know I'm working hard. I have the heart of the people, and I do. And every single day, I wake up with nothing but the people of Louisiana and America on my mind, and I demonstrate that with my word and my deed, with bringing literally millions and millions of dollars back to Louisiana for the entire community, black, white, and other. And I hear you. And as I said to the previous caller, this was not a decision that was made in a vacuum. It was not a decision that was made lightly. I've got the utmost respect for Royce Duplessis and Oliver Thomas. We cannot use race as our only barometer when determining who our leaders should be, even in a city that is majority black. As a member of Congress, I represent black, white, Hispanic, Asian. It would be different if Helena Moreno had proven to be incompetent, had proven to be anti-unity. None of those things are true. So I understand your feelings. Everyone's entitled to feel as they are. You know, you and I have been friends for a long time. I've appreciated the support that you've given. I think you've been a solid voice in our community. I would caution all of us to really take a step back and concentrate on unity for our city, building the type of ship that will carry everyone to success. Unlike the slave ships that brought us here, let's concentrate on building a ship now that has all of us on it, that has a relationship that will get the job done. And I will tell you, I would never, under any circumstance, bring our people to a burning house. I'd like to believe that I'm helping to build a house that is being built with the hand of all of New Orleanians, not one race, not one religion, not one creed, not one gender, but one that is inclusive of everyone. And when the race is over, and it will be soon, we have to then pivot back. So I would challenge on the tough challenges of fighting each other and work on getting back together and building a better city.
All right. Thank you very much. And we've got Reverend Calhoun on the line next, Congressman. Reverend Calhoun, you're on with Congressman Carter.
Good morning to all. Congressman, I'm interested in the FEMA rating that Jefferson Parish has gotten. Do you have any idea what it would take for us now to get that same type of rating? Is it that we got I do understand that there was like $6 million or something poured into Jefferson Parish to help them implement all these changes that they have. And what can Orleans Parish do to bring forth that same type of process in to get the same type of rating?
We're working around the clock to do just that, to make sure that, biggest problem that we're having with a lot of this stuff, recognize for the mitigation efforts that we've undergone. We should be credited for those mitigating factors that we've instituted, yet we continue to fight with FEMA and with the Trump White House to make sure that New Orleans and other cities, not just Jefferson versus New Orleans, but across the country, and certainly across Louisiana, to make sure that we are getting credit for the mitigation and thusly getting a better rating, which will assist with rates. So you bring a great point, and one that we are, we've talked about this before. We're working feverishly, like, for example, with Risk Rating 2.0, this ridiculous flood insurance program that is supposed to help but does nothing but hurt. We're working on that as we speak as well. Thank you, Rev.
Great question, Reverend Calhoun. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Congressman, we have just a couple more minutes, but we want to make the most of the time that you have. Can you touch on what's going on with RFK and our federal government, immunizations, and public health?
Well, let me tell you, Donald Trump and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I hate to say that name because he is, in my estimation, bringing shame to the name of the Kennedy family, who once did so much for a country, is now being torn down by a man who I think has no clue. RFK Jr. Is seeking policy that literally will kill Americans. And Trump is complicit in letting this happen. They're both 1 and 1A as it relates to getting rid of immunizations, cutting research, valued research for AIDS and cancer research. Where every day we're coming closer and closer to a cure for cancer. We're coming up ways to reduce the pain, the suffering, and increase the longevity of life of people that are inflicted with cancer. So many of us have had this impact our families. I know I have, but most of us have, or we know someone who has. Yet this guy wants to take away the research that our scientists are doing every day, the dollars for research that will give us an opportunity to get our arms around these dreaded diseases. Immunizations that have saved lives. We know that we had eradicated measles. Now Americans are dying from measles because this clown, I said it, this clown, RFK, who is our Secretary of DHH, is caught up in some wackery and coming up defying science because of some wackery of his belief, and Donald Trump buying into it, which is demonstrative of what I've said all along. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to kill us? And all of the policies that we're looking at, the removal of people on Medicaid, the getting rid of research dollars for dreaded diseases, the removal of the necessity for vaccinations. You remember with kids, we lined up and we got our vaccinations, and that was the big deal. You don't do it as much anymore because it's proven that vaccinations work. And now we're going to go backwards? My God, children dying from measles? When's the last time until this administration with Trump and RFK Jr. did you hear someone dying of measles?
Right.
It's a step backwards. And I want to thank you guys. I want to thank WBOK, thank both you, Brother Comp, and Sutton for your tireless effort to bring the open airwaves to the people, to have an honest discussion, and to demonstrate our ability to fight back and not accept the status quo. I wake up every day at the nation's capital, and I fight all day long to make sure that your voices are heard. I'm so grateful to have an opportunity to come back and share in first person, one-on-one with WBOK, with the leadership and with the community at large. And I thank every one of our listeners and every one of our callers, regardless of the call, the question, the exchange is what's important. We're not obligated to always agree, but we're obligated to always listen, and we're obligated to always work together. And that's what I love most about this audience. I love most about this station. Bless you all. God bless WBOK.
Okay, and then one more thing, Congressman. Next week starts early voting, so no matter who is supporting who, early voting starts September 27th and ends October 4th. How important is that?
And let me tell you, I'm glad you said that. Regardless of who you vote for, you got to vote. You got early voting is going to start soon. That means you got 10 days to vote. There's no excuse why we shouldn't have 100% voting participation. When you don't vote, you just voted for the worst candidate on the ballot. Whoever you deem the worst candidate to be, when you don't vote, that's who you voted for. We're in the current predicament we're in with Project 2025 deeming to take away our rights, to turn back the clock on hard-fought gains, even our right to vote, our right to fair representation, our right to a woman having the right to choose on her own body. These things are always on the ballot. We are dealing with Project 2025 because we didn't come out to vote. Let's demonstrate that we can reverse those negative actions of those who want to take our rights away by going to vote. Take advantage of voting during early voting. Call your friends. Make sure your elderly relatives and friends and neighbors, offer them a ride to the polls. Call someone after you voted. Make sure they voted. Volunteer in phone banking. You don't have to choose a candidate if you'd rather not. Just tell people to go out and vote.
Thank you, Congressman. I'm encouraging mail ballots because a number of people are eligible and they don't even know it. But that's a great option. We appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining our WBOK family once again to share some of the things that are things that you are doing, things that are on your mind, and taking all questions. We are listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
It's another mostly dry day once again, but some of us could see a stray shower if you're lucky. But again, most of us are going to stay dry. Highs for today will make it into the upper 80s, lower 90s, feeling close to that actual temperature because humidity is still on the lower side for us. As we do head into the next couple of days, more of the same dry conditions and also heat. Still into the 90s. Rain expected, though, for next week. For the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
What's the future for New Orleans? Will city services ever function efficiently? Our people need answers, not slogans. That's why the Nonpartisan City Services Coalition has asked the candidates for mayor how they plan to fix city government. Want to know what they said? Go to cityservicescoalition.com to see for yourself. It's time for action, not excuses. The next step is yours.
Paid for by the City Services Coalition.
Looking to join an organization that is committed to help promote economic development in New Orleans East? Look no further. The Greater New Orleans Business Alliance is a member-based, nonprofit organization made up of business owners and local professionals united for the purpose to promote business development in Eastern New Orleans. If you want to become a member, call us at 504-957-3568.
The Historic New Orleans Collection presents a new exhibition open through June 7th, 2026, The Trail They Blazed. Built collaboratively with people who participated in the local civil rights movement, The Trail They Blazed presents stories of social and racial justice straight from the people who lived them. Listen to leaders tell their stories of resistance and persistence in their own voices, recorded by the Historic New Orleans Collection. Plan your visit to 520 Royal Street in the French Quarter and reserve your free tickets at hnoc.org today.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Vice President J.D. Vance offered to send the National Guard to Detroit to fight crime. He spoke during a speech in Howell, Michigan on Wednesday.
Gretchen, we are happy to send the National Guard to Detroit, Michigan. All you got to do is ask.
Governor Whitmer and Democrats say it violates state rights. Mayor Duggan's office says violence is already down, with record drops in homicides and carjackings. Jay-Z's Times Square casino plan for New York hit a roadblock as a community panel voted it down. Backed by Roc Nation and Caesars, the project promised jobs and revenue, but critics feared rising crime and threats to Broadway's culture. And music icons hit the stage this weekend at the iHeartRadio Music Festival in Las Vegas. Glorilla, Mariah Carey, LL Cool J, and more will perform live. Catch it on iHeart stations nationwide and streaming on Hulu. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Join New Schools for New Orleans, All-State Sugar Bowl, and Entergy New Orleans in recognizing and celebrating the Teachers of the Year at our 4th annual New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Awards Gala. The gala will take place Saturday, November 1st at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. This year's gala will feature New Orleans legend DJ Jubilee. Don't miss out on this intimate celebration supporting our New Orleans public school teachers. Tickets can be purchased on our website, newschoolsforneworleans.org.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show on WBOK 1230 a.m. I'm with Will Sutton, and with me is Chief Eddie Compass. It's 8:08 a.m. If you got somewhere to be at 8:15, you got a few minutes. You might have just enough time to get there, depending on how far you got to go. If it's 8:30, then you probably in some pretty good shape, barring an accident. But whatever you do, pay attention to the speed limit. Pay attention to the drivers who are unsafe. You be safe, and stay tuned to WBOK. Whether it's on AM radio, the internet, or you can watch and listen on Facebook Live, on the station's Facebook Live page. Well, we've had a great segment just now with Congressman Troy Carter and bringing us the news and information and the passion that he brings to that job, and took some good calls, and happy to have him each and every Thursday. But right now we're going to move into conversation with Dr. Lewis Ross Brown from the National Environmental Action Network. Good morning, Dr. Brown. How are you? You're here with Will Sutton and Chief Eddie Compass.
Good morning, fellas. How y'all doing? I know Chief Eddie Compass from a long ways back when he was at the NOPD.
Oh, yes, sir.
And I know your father, sir, Dr. Sutton. He was over the chairperson over at biology, natural science at Dillard University.
That is correct.
And he worked with my cousin a long time, Mac Felton. He also worked with my mentor, Dr. James J. Prestige and Dr. Ruby Broadway.
I remember those names.
All right.
That's great. That's great. You never know. Sometimes it's not 6 degrees of separation. It's 2 or 3 or 1 or 2. Well, we're thankful that you have joined us this morning to talk about the National Environmental Action Network and environmental issues in Louisiana generally. But first of all, for our listeners who may not have heard from you before, give us a little background on yourself, Dr. Brown. Born, raised, high school, and some basics on you, and then tell us a little bit about the National Environmental Action Network.
Okay, I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I am a product of McDonough 35 Senior High School.
All right. My mama's school.
One of the best ones I have ever seen, and good education was there. My mentors there, I should say. One of the best ones I had was Dr. Alvin Williams, and I have to give the hats off to Dr. Wanda Wilson, who was my algebra teacher as well.
All right.
Very, very good, and Dr. Iris Davis. They were all good individuals, and they just taught, and they cared. The whole school cared about the kids, especially Coach McLaughlin. He took that football team, he and the late Coach Kennedy, and they really put it to them, and they made them perform, and they kept discipline in that school to where it should be, and it should be now. We need people like that back in there. I went to Dillard University, majored in biology with a minor in chemistry. That's where I met Shamira. She was a chemistry major. Shamira was my wife. We've been married since December 24th, 1997.
All right.
And we both went to Southern University and got our master's degrees there. Then we got accepted into another university. She went to Duke, and I went to Tulane School of Public Health and Tropical Medicine. Left there, went to Alabama, and then got my doctorate degree. And everything was history. We went back up again, and she did her postdoctoral fellowship over at Oxford University in England, and did a lot of good stuff over there, research work for polymers, and she's currently working on a project right now where if it comes to fruition, which we're hoping that it does, it will be able to save a lot on gas, dealing with the polysaccharides and drawing them out and turning them into bioethanol fuel, which will save money on the gas. The gas prices are high, as we know, and this will knock those gas prices down because that fuel lasts in your car. I have a 1975 Ford Torino, and I filled it up with one of her little mixtures that she did, and that vehicle has run. This was on July 1st, and I still have enough gas in that car to go wherever I want. It's one notch away from F.
Did you say 1975?
Wow. I have a 1975 Ford Grand Torino. Yes, I bought it at an auction.
Wow.
I'm a collector of classic cars, and that's one of the other little odd things I like. We got 6 kids, 4 boys and 2 girls, 2 sets of twins. And we're moving along right now. My oldest daughter just turned 26 years of age, and she's working at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. And my youngest daughter is roughly 10 years old. She's already turned 10, and she's in the 7th grade. So she's doing pretty good for her little self. And my last set of twins, they're going to be graduating from high school. They just turned 16 years of age, and my oldest set's working on their master's degrees over at Norfolk State University, and they've been accepted to Howard University for the PhD program in pharmacology.
Very nice, very nice. Great. You've been working hard.
Man. Oh, yes.
Building the legacy. For those who might have missed it, though, Dr. Shamira Brown, yes, is your wife and the mother of your kids. But she plays a role with the National Environmental Action Network as well.
She's the CFO, and she just recently got her 5th congressional award from the Congress that we have in office now. Eugene Vindman recognized her work with her research that she's doing with the polysaccharides, and he also gave my 2 sons, Christian and Lewis, their 2nd congressional awards, as they were recognized for what they're doing with chitin, where they can take how people eat crawfish, lobster, shrimp, crabs, and all that other good stuff. Down in Louisiana, they could take those chitinous shells and draw out the chitin and make that into a fuel as well.
So what led you all to found NEAN back in, 1995?
Well, actually, yes, it was. It was 95. I got that idea from a relative of mine, Joseph Ellis. He said it in a joking manner. God rest his soul, but he was always, him and my uncle Lewis Ellis, and he told us, why don't y'all do an action network? That would be something you can do. And we took it seriously, too, because they were clowning with us and laughing with us. We took it seriously, and that's what happened. We got it formed, and then we worked for another action network while we were in Baton Rouge called Louisiana Environmental Action Network under Mary Lee Orr, And that just spurned everything. But then when I started seeing the problems with PFAS and PCBs, which they don't talk about the PCBs as much in the water, and they're forever chemicals too, I felt the need to get involved. When I started seeing the data centers that have the methane pumping out and destroying the good ozone that we have, and nothing being done about that, I started to get involved. I wanted to do something good. And what hit me really hard was when all those federal employees that are in Louisiana, and especially New Orleans and Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas, were laid off with no justification, mostly us. Took me, and it made me think, because I used to work for EPA. I worked for them for 27 years. And when the first Trump administration came in, I had enough. I left. I mean, it worked fine for a little while. You know, when we had Andrew Pruitt over at EPA, Scott Pruitt, we had him over there at EPA. It worked fine for a little while. He kept, like when I was in the Office of Pesticides, he kept the nucleus of our little group. He kept me, he kept George, he kept Carl, he kept, I think her name was Deneen, and he kept Christine, he kept a bunch of us. But eventually, he started adding new scientists that didn't have the science background. It kept adding, and eventually it failed. And I got out of there before the ship started to sink. And when the boat started to sink really badly, I was on my way to doing what I needed to do. And I've been very active in donating collective films that I have to all the HBCUs around the country and to the museums around the country to keep the image of black history alive and keep it alive and let it keep flourishing in not just Louisiana but across there. Because if a lot of you all that are from New Orleans may know that Louis Armstrong was our king of the Zulu in 1949, and I believe his queen was my wife's cousin named Freddie Washington, who starred in the very first Imitation of Life back in 1934. The one that's in 59 is a remake from the 1934 version, and Freddie Washington could pass for Caucasian.
All right.
But she was not.
Dr. Brown, the Chief, has a question for you.
Yes. Doc,
Yes.
how does the mission evolve from its inception to now, especially considering the recent expansion efforts in Greater New Orleans?
Well, right now, we're helping out with the water quality. I have my drones in place. We don't have to really be there to get the water samples. We send those drones, we can program it. Shamira has a good programming background to program them with the destination, the zip code, and everything we need to send them to go, and they can dive in like you see those birds go after fish that come up, on the water. The drones can dive right in there, get the water samples, collect them, and bring them back to us, back to their original location. And they can also do the thing with soil, and they can do the same thing with air. And when we get those samples, we test them for a variety of pesticides, for a variety of other organic contaminants, and we go from there. And we also test the air for a variety of organic pollutants as well that can go into the air, the vaporizing chemicals that can go in the air.
Well, what's the most, the most harmful pollutant that you're concerned about most in New Orleans?
PFAS, PCB, Roundup. There's another one out there that you can look at called chlorpyrifos. Those are the ones that were top on my list, and there's another one that we're working on right now that can't talk about it right now because of the things going on, but it's a killer, and we're trying to straighten that mess out. Right now, the EPA has become a paper stamper. They're not doing the science anymore. They were not doing it when Trump got there the first time. So we have to get back to the basics, and we're concerned about the people in New Orleans because they don't tell you all about the filters that are available to get the PFAS out of the water. There's a filter you can use and an osmosis and reverse osmosis pump that you can get installed in your kitchen, and it'll do your whole house. Or if you really want to be conservative, get it under your house where the water pipes are at, and it'll do your whole house either way. And it gets out the filter, gets out all the organic contaminants. And if there's anything about heavy metals, like the big concern with mercury, there's another pump another filter you can get called a CAC filter, and that'll get all the inorganic pollutants out of your water. That's our biggest concern.
Dr. Brown, can you give us some idea of how much would something like that cost a homeowner, whether it's under the house or inside?
Depends on who you go to. I went on Amazon and I found those filters. They're called GAC, granulated activated carbon filters, and see those pesticides and harmful contaminants with carbon in them. That filter acts like a magnet, and when that osmosis pump is hooked up to there, the reverse osmosis pump, it does double filtration. It brings the water forward and it brings it backwards to make sure it's clean. You change those pumps every 2 to 3 years. Not the pumps, but the filters. Every 2 to 3 years. The rinky-dink filters you're buying from Walmart and Target, they're not going to help you with the PFAS chemicals. They're not going to help you with the PCB. They're not going to help you with the Roundup that may be left over for glyphosate. And they're not going to help you with other harmful pesticides and insecticides and whatever that may be in the water that can do you some damage. And it's not going to help you with mercury either.
Well, Doc, could you give us a price? But you said about the pumps, about the
pump. I'm wondering about $70 on Amazon, and if you go to Home Depot, maybe $100. Lowe's, maybe $100, depending on what discounts you catch. The filters will cost you. It should cost you about $15. For you get 2 for $15. They're really inexpensive, but they do a lot of work. Some companies may jack the price up to get a profit off of it, but the ultimate goal is that you pay for those filters, get them installed by a licensed plumber, and enjoy cleaner water. It'll smell better, taste better, and it'll look better. You won't have any problems with it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Brown. We're coming up on the break in a minute, but thank you for the information.
Before we let you go, can you tell us a bit about your Meals on Wheels initiative?
Well, that was cut, and we didn't do the cutting, but we got it funded back. We have worked with a group that a bunch of liberal billionaires in the country and millionaires have gotten together, and they're going to fund our project for us, and it's called Meals on Wheels. We're going to fund that. Those that are hungry and need food, we're going to do our best to help you from New Orleans to Baton Rouge to Monroe to Shreveport to Alexandria and Lake Charles and all the surrounding areas. We're helping out. And I'm also opening up a class where I could teach you about the chemicals that are in your water and how you can go and get those filters and how you can have those installed. And we also have a tutorial program that we're doing for the kids that are in high school and college.
All right. Well, we're going to have to go to break. We thank you so much for spending some of your morning with us, with our WBOK family of listeners. And
Pleasure
how
to
can
do it.
people get in touch with you and the National Environmental Action Network?
Well, they can call us at our office number at 703-594-2191, or they can give us a call at area code 919-396-4959 and leave a message. We will get back with you or send a text, or you can email us at SHAMIRA316_99_2003 and we'll answer your email within an 8-hour period. And we would love to help you. If you've got something you need help with, you just call us up. If we can't do it, we'll put you in the direction of somebody who can.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Brown. We appreciate it. We're going to move to break right now, and after the break, we're going to have the one, the only, former Mayor Sidney Bartholomew in WBOK studios to talk about politics. Talking about politics. Call line. Get your call in soon because you're going to want to have a opportunity to talk with Mayor at 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Hoops, Heat, The Truth, on demand. Ball Don't Lie is now live on all podcast platforms. Tap in, search WBOK Media, find Ball Don't Lie, and bring the fire with you wherever you go. Download, share, and leave that 5-star review because the game doesn't stop when the show ends.
Good Thursday morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. A crash on Canal Street leaves a woman dead. New Orleans police say it happened yesterday afternoon near the aquarium. Officers say she was a passenger in a cab that tried to turn, then hit a curb and drove into a wall. She was taken to a hospital where she died. No arrests have been made, but the crash is still under investigation. The trial for Mayor LaToya Cantrell will not happen this year. Sources say it's now scheduled for late 2026. This comes after a hearing was held yesterday by teleconference. Mayor Cantrell is accused of misusing taxpayer money on luxury trips with her former NOPD bodyguard Jeffrey Vappy and then lying to cover it up. Both have pleaded not guilty, and sources now say they will stand trial together on October 19th of next year. The city of New Orleans missed the first part of a bid process to host the Super Bowl in 2031, and sources say it's all because of the status of the Superdome lease. The state of Louisiana owns and operates the dome with the Saints as the building's primary tenant. But because a long-term lease between the two isn't finalized, a bid to host a future Super Bowl could not be submitted yesterday during the NFL's fall meetings in New York City. The current lease agreement ends in 2030. Now, if a deal is agreed upon soon, New Orleans could reemerge as a potential host city in 2031. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor. We're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Every Friday at noon on WBOK.
What's the future for New Orleans? Will city services ever function efficiently? Our people need answers, not slogans. That's why the Nonpartisan City Services Coalition has asked the candidates for mayor how they plan to fix city government. Want to know what they said? Go to cityservicescoalition.com to see for yourself. It's time for action, not excuses. The next step is yours.
Paid for by the City Services Coalition.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, you missed some good segments, including one with Congressman Troy Carter, and one just recently with Dr. Lewis Ross Brown talking about the National Environmental Action Network and the good work that they are doing. It's 8:29. If you got somewhere to be at 8:30, I hope it's right next to your bed, right next to your coffee in the kitchen. If you got 8:45 appointment, you might be able to make it. But stay tuned to the Good Morning Show on your AM radio, on the internet. Or if you are not driving, then you can stay tuned and watch on WBOK 1230 AM's Facebook Live page. And coming up next, we're going to be in conversation with the mayor, Sidney Bartholomew. And I've known this guy a long time. But I got somebody who's known him much better than I have, so I'm going to let him introduce the mayor, and we're going to get right into it, Mr. Mayor.
Well, thank you. Well, I was the mayor's bodyguard, and he gave me an education you can't put a price tag on. People ask me why I know so much about politics. It's like having a PhD professor with you every day. He was the most sagacious and perspicacious man I've ever been around my entire life. And he's a gentleman's gentleman, and he's the kindest and most thoughtful person I've ever been around in my life. And I mean, I don't like him, I love him. And, you know, I wanted to have him on the show so he can tell the differentiations and the back to the progression of politics from the time he started in the early 60s until now. So, Mr. Mayor, without any further ado, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Comp. I'm really happy to be here, and it's good to see that you now are distinguished radio announcer.
I don't know about distinguished, but I'm getting there. I'm not where Will is at. Yeah, he's the most adroit person I've ever been around in this business. I'm under his tutelage, like I was under your tutelage from the political arena. I'm under the radio tutelage of Will right now.
Well, you were a fast learner. I have to give it to you. And he did his homework, Bill.
How about that?
He was always attentive, always taking care of me and my family. And, you know, even when we got threats, he would come and make sure my kids were taken care of if I was out of town. So I always appreciate his service and his commitment.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I think a lot of folks don't realize about executive security with the New Orleans Police Department, because you might see it on TV and see a guy here and a guy there and realize that's probably security, or it's clear that it's security.
Right.
But you don't see all the other work that they do.
No, they really do.
And there's no camera when they're doing this work, but it's the chief elected official of our city needs that protection.
Right.
Whether you like them or not, no matter what their party is,
right.
of course,
Politics.
Democrat a long time. And no matter what the decision that they've made, they need that executive protection.
Right.
And one of the things the mayor did, he sent me to all these Secret Service schools who had the Republican Convention coming in town. Remember, in 1988, he chose me to go to Secret Service schools, and he basically got me an education you can't put a price tag on, and has voted me up to this day.
You know, they also had, when we had distinguished people come into the city, I always made my security available to Jesse Jackson when he came in.
Coretta Scott King.
Yeah, and Ms. King, and most of the distinguished visitors, you know, they took care of them, and even brought Jesse to the police gym.
Yeah,
to do
I wore him out. He told me, he said, "This boy on steroids."
Oh boy. So, Mr. Mayor, you've been around quite a while, and you've been in the rough and tumble well before you were mayor.
Right.
You did a few things before you were mayor,
right?
Including city council, and then you had your time as mayor. We're at a different time now. In your days, we didn't have all this social media.
No,
we didn't even have the internet.
No, it was real old school.
Yeah.
You know,
so things have changed, and but you're still here and with it and watching. Talk about what you saw then and what you see now.
Well, how far back I go. I was elected the first African American state senator in the state of Louisiana.
Wow.
And that was in 1974 and 72.
72.
And and I mean, that was a tremendous experience, and I was really blessed to be representing Senate 4 District and to be the first in the whole state of Louisiana, African American, to serve in the state legislature. And it was different, like you said there. We, the Senate at the time, and Edwin Edwards was governor, and he was, you know, very receptive to New Orleans. He liked New Orleans, and he was helpful to us, and we were able to pass legislations to give monies to the universities, particularly Dillard's School of Nursing and Xavier University and Southern. We made sure that Southern got a fair budget every year. And we had a Black Caucus at that time with Johnny Jackson, Dorothy Mae Taylor, and all of those.
Abe Alexander too, right?
Yeah.
I remember that,
Uh,
man, I worked on those
Reverend
campaigns.
Alexander.
I was 12 years old, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Reverend Alexander when they were passing the right to work bill, Reverend Alexander was in the house on the House side, and he got up to give a speech. It was very controversial at that time because labor was very strong, and he got up and he gave a rousing speech about why we didn't need right to work, and he said, and at the end of his speech, he said, as Patrick Henry said, give me liberty or give me, he said, I don't think I want to go that far.
Well, let's talk about your time as on city council.
Right.
And with the mayor at the time, and then your time as mayor with a city council.
Right.
One of the things that's been talked about, not just during this campaign time, but in this, in pretty much most of LaToya Cantrell's time as mayor, but particularly the second term, is the chaos on council and the disagreement with the mayor.
Right.
How much of that is similar to what you experienced on council and as mayor, or is it dissimilar, and is it really chaos?
Yeah, I think, the council will many times have different positions than the mayor, but we never created the chaos that exists today. For the most part, most of us, Dutch was mayor at that time. He was first African-American mayor the city had ever had. And so we did our best to work with him, and we had the strike with the Mardi Gras strike, the police.
Yeah, right, I just got on the police department then.
Yeah.
I remember
and,
that.
It was very, very tense in the city for Mardi Gras, and the police went on strike, and Dutch decided that we're not going to give in to the strike and that he'd rather shut down Mardi Gras than to give in to the police, which was really a tough issue and tough. But on that issue, we were with Dutch 100%. The council stood by him and supported him, and we were able to be successful and got them to come back. And the big help was from the black members of the police department who also stood by the mayor at that time.
Yeah, I remember Chief Woodfolk was a sergeant at the time in Felony Action Squad.
Yeah.
And I was going through the process. I actually hadn't gotten hired till right after the strike, because I came on April 1st, 1979. And I was going through the process while the strike was going on, and we were all so nervous as recruits, like just saying, man, what's going to happen? And then a contingency of African-American officers came to us and told us, look, they said, y'all haven't even started yet. Y'all going to be all right. They said, we're going to support the mayor. We're going to support the city council because protection of our citizens is paramount. And I remember that vividly, and Woodfolk was a sergeant at the time. Right. And right after that, they promoted him to deputy chief shortly after that. Yeah. So I remember that very vividly.
Yeah. And so there were disagreements, on some issues. And even when I was mayor, we had disagreements on. But I think the things that I felt, and I think most of the folks felt, is, you disagree, but you don't get into a knockdown, drag-out fight, as some cases go. And for the most part, I think we had a good working relationship. And I know I had a good working relationship with my council, Dorothy Taylor, Jim Singleton, Joe Geruso, and several, Johnny Jackson was on the council also. So we worked together. I mean, all of the things that we were able to do, it was because we were all together on those issues: the casino, the basketball arena,
aquarium.
You know, we did a lot of things that have been beneficial to the city. And I have to say, all except one council member I had a problem with.
Yeah.
But the rest of the council, they were there solid, and together we were able to do it. And we got a lot of help from the governor. You know, Edwin Edward was the governor, and he was really helpful. Everything I ever asked him for as mayor, he granted. You know, the casino, the basketball arena, the pick and save was another one we brought.
You know, I had a unique perspective sitting next to you every day for 12, 16 hours a day sometimes. And you had the nickname, the Gentle Giant. And, you know, people saw the quiet side of you, Mr. Mayor, but when people tried to step to you and, you know, you wasn't too gentle sometimes. That's so, you know, that's what I tell people all the time. No, don't get it twisted. He's quiet. He's not weak. There's nothing weak about him. And you had brought so many people together. So what was your secret for bringing people from so many walks of life together? I mean, people from uptown, downtown, the Ninth Ward. How did you do that?
Well, you know, I first started off in my professional career was being a member of Total Community Action. I was an administrative assistant to the SEP director, which was the Concentrated Employment Program. And I used to go all over the city, you know, in that position because we had 6 community centers at the time, and all of them were funded under the poverty program. And they had staff and they had community centers. And so I had to go to meetings in all of the centers. So I got to know a lot of people across the river in Desire and Lower 9, Irish Channel, Central City. That's where I met Jim Singleton. Johnny was in Desire. I met Johnny there. And so we were able to develop a relationship. And ultimately, all of us went into politics. You know, you might hear things negative about the poverty program, but it was very positive for us who were African Americans because we couldn't get a job as an executive in the community because a lot of things were still segregated, and it was hard to become an executive in those days. But that gave us the training, and that gave us the knowledge of politics and how it works, and so we were able to benefit from that experience.
You know, I think I'm sorry. I think one of your greatest legacies is how you gave back and you built a coalition of leaders. Like, people don't realize, like myself, Troy Carter, you know, Judge Kern. You know, we all started as young people. I mean, you made Troy Carter your chief of staff. He was 24 years old. You made me your bodyguard. I was 28. Kern Reese was in charge of the RTA, and he was like in his early 30s. I mean, you saw something in us that was incredible that we didn't see in ourselves. So, I mean, that's what I say. You were such a visionary, and you don't get the credit you deserve. That's why I want you on this show so people understand. You built a generation of leaders. And I just wanted to let the world know just how great a man you are.
Well, thank you, Comp. I appreciate that. But, you know, I look at today and you know, Trump talks about DEI. But we prove that giving people an opportunity, whether they were black or white or male or female, and they were young and willing to work, they accomplished a lot of things, and I never would have been able to accomplish the things that I did. I mean, like Dolores Aaron, she was a teacher, and I knew her love for kids,
Yeah.
And to me, that was a key. And I brought her on, and we kept the pools open every summer, all summer long. And Sheila Danzy and housing. I mean,
Al Stokes. Oh my God.
Al Stokes, who was my exec. But they did some fantastic work, you know, and they really don't get the credit that they deserve and the ability that everybody had, you know.
Right.
And so when he's talking about DEI, he's a racist, Donald Trump, and he doesn't understand the talent that he's losing by getting rid of people like that.
Well, we're going to have to go to break. One last question.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to be the new mayor.
Yes.
And whoever the new mayor is going to have a deficit of a minimum of $100 million. You had deficits.
Right.
During your time. So what's your suggestion to whoever will be mayor dealing with $100 million deficit plus?
Right. Well, we had to do some really tough things because I took office in May. In those days, we took office in May.
Right.
And so we had 6 months because at the end of the year, we had to have a balanced budget. And so we did all kinds of things. The toughest thing was the goal on a 4-day work week. We shut down City Hall on Fridays, and rather than have just the employees take the hit because they were going to lose 20% of their salary, we, the council and the mayor, we did it on our own. We said we're going to cut our salary by 20%. So the council and the mayor passed a resolution that we would only take 80% of our salaries.
All right. I hope some folks are listening. We're going to have to break because we've got one more segment to go, and then we got to wrap up and get out of here for the front porch. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, for joining us today.
You're welcome.
You're going to have to come back.
Oh, you definitely coming back.
Enough. We didn't get
you
enough.
Definitely coming back.
You're going to have to come back.
To
you're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
Message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
Hear that? For too long, fixing our streets and drainage has only meant inconvenience and empty promises. This is Matthew Willard. I'm running for Council at Large, Division 1, to really fix our city so we spend less time dodging potholes and street flooding and more time cheering on the Saints. As a state legislator, I've proven I can deliver. At City Hall, I'll build on that record. Paid for by the Matthew Willard campaign.
I went on down to New Orleans and they all asked for Frank. On every street, all the people you meet, they all ask for Frank. They all know to vote for Frank, cause he has a plan. Make New Orleans shine, safe from crime, the best in all the land. Vote for Frank.
Paid for by the committee to elect Frank Scurlock for mayor.
LifeCare provides valuable whole life insurance to cover final expenses such as medical bills, burial costs, and unpaid debt.
A final expense insurance policy is fast, easy, affordable life insurance that's available to anyone between the ages of 50 and 80. No medical exams, no lengthy questionnaires, and no waiting period. The application process is quick and easy. You can even apply without having to undergo a medical examination. Just answer a few questions and we'll do the rest. With the average funeral cost skyrocketing to $11,000 and Social Security only paying $255, you need simple, affordable peace of mind for you and your whole family. Don't leave behind unpaid expenses that, if left unattended, will burden your family tremendously. Benefits include a guaranteed premium that will never increase, a guaranteed cash value, and a guaranteed death benefit that can never decrease. To find out how you can get final expense insurance with a guaranteed lifetime rate lock, call LifeCare at 800-571-9955. That's 800-571-9955. 800-571-9955.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryan Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Show. My name is Will Sutton. I've got Chief Eddie Compass with me here. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. And we've got on the line Miss Sonia Norsworthy from Together New Orleans. We're going to just hop into this conversation because there's an important event tonight, and you need to know about this. And we've got limited time, so we're going to get Sonia on. Good morning, Sonia. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I am doing well. Thanks for having me.
Fabulous, fabulous. You're the board president of Together New Orleans. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct, and I'm honored to be able to support my fellow citizens in actually getting together and providing this opportunity for action.
So briefly describe Together New Orleans for those who don't know what type of coalition this is. I've seen Together New Orleans in action numerous times. But for those who don't know, what is Together New Orleans? And then we'll talk about this special event tonight.
Awesome. Together New Orleans is a broad-based organization of member institutions. So it's very diverse. We have faith-based organizations. We have unions. We have civic organizations. And when I say faith-based organizations, I mean we are very diverse. We have Protestants, Unitarians. We have Baptists, Muslim. Our Jewish community is a part of it. And so this is really a membership organization made up of very committed folks from all walks of life and all over New Orleans.
Great. And there's a big event tonight. Where is that? What time? And what should people know?
Tonight's event is called the Citywide Assembly, and it is what we call an action event for Together New Orleans and for citizens here in the city. Tonight will be an opportunity to really show what can be done when the people come together and engage in the process and hold not only those who want to be our leaders and our leaders accountable, but also hold ourselves accountable for being involved and getting engaged in the process. So tonight, at 6:30, we're going to be over at Xavier University, and we'll be in the Convocation Center, and we're going to pack it with 2,000 plus people, so come on out. And we're going to be sharing with everyone the platform that was put together as possible solutions for some of the ills of the city. You know, we can't just sit back and pull a lever and think that everything's going to be fine. We know that doesn't work, and we can't wait for other people to come in and save us. So as an organization, a member organization, we got together with congregations and communities to come up with a platform. We've shared it before. We shared it July 13th. We're going to share it again. We've also shared it with all the candidates running for both mayor and city council. And tonight we will be formally asking for their support and commitment around meeting with us, as well as what's their stance on our platform. We'll have music and entertainment when we open up. Doors will open at 6, and we'll have Roots of Music, New Orleans, a fabulous youth marching band outside, and then we'll open up with the children's choir, New Voices for New Orleans. So we're very excited about tonight.
And for those of you who are just getting introduced to Together New Orleans, the People's Platform is on their website. That's togethernola.org/platform. And if you go there, you'll see that the subject matter areas are cost of living, jobs, public works, and the neighborhood power plan. So there are a number of subsets of issues under each of those, and that is something that they've pulled together over the last several months. So it's not like there's like pop-up platforms. This is not the platform. They're playing the platform, and they're getting responses, and they'll have the mayoral candidates and city council candidates on the stage. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. The platform was developed through conversations that we had over a year and a half with communities and citizens about what are the things that are really making it hard to either stay in New Orleans or live in New Orleans. And through that, we came up with those 4 categories and the subset proposals for how to solve those issues.
And what should people, you've given a nice overview of how the program is going to go. For those who have limited time, but they want to be there, doors open at 6, program starts about 6:30. And is the target time 8 or 8:30 for the end?
I'm a stickler for time, and so we are committed to being 90 minutes. And so our candidates actually have limited time to talk, and I'm going to stick to that. So target time to end is 8 o'clock, and there'll be, accountability questions for the candidates. There's accountability questions for us as citizens, and it should be a very intriguing and activated time for everyone. I want to extend the invitation to everyone listening right now. Come be a part of the action tonight at 6:30. If you're limited on time, get there at 6:30. We're going to be at Xavier Convocation Center. You can RSVP through togethernola.org. That's togethernola.org. The reservation is up there. You can reserve a spot for you, and we're looking for you.
Which mayoral candidates have confirmed with you?
All of them. All 3 of them.
Oh, all right. So it's not all of the candidates. It's the 3 most prominent, those who have
the 3, yes, the 3 leaders, yes.
All right. So that's State Senator Royce Duplessis, City Council District E member Oliver Thomas, and City Council Vice President Helena Moreno have confirmed that they will be there.
Yes, sir.
And we have city council races in all districts except for B. Will you have candidates from each of those districts or just some of them?
We'll have candidates from each of those districts with the exception of B.
Okay. So would you say 2 or more? Because some of those districts have quite a number of candidates. So I'm not sure all of them will be there, but.
Right. No, not all of them. So the caveat for that is we use polling stats to look at who the top 2 or 3 were, and that's who have confirmed will be there tonight.
Okay. And so you can reserve your seat togethernola.org/SEPT18. Together.
Actually, if you just go to the website togethernola.org, it's actually on the landing page. You'll see it, so you don't have to.
Okay,
yeah.
Wonderful. So you can just sign. Okay, I see it now. Sign up to attend. It's right there on the homepage and right there in front of you for the citywide assembly with candidates for mayor and city council tonight at 6:30. Doors open at 6. And Ms. Sonia promises you'll be out by 8. So thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. We look forward to this different kind of program compared to some other debates and forums. And for those of you who are interested, take a look at the platform before you go. Thank you so much, Sonia. Have a great day. I'll see you tonight.
Thank you. He's looking for you.
All right. We're going to wrap up now. Up next is The Front Porch with Kimba and Graylin. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.